West Ham continue our impressive recent run of form under David Moyes after coming from behind to beat Leeds United 2-1 at Elland Road. That victory was our fifth in the last 6 league games, and despite the absence of our key player, Antonio, we continue to go from strength to strength this season. But this time round, we host Crystal Palace in a London derby, with the Eagles having picked up a point at the weekend following a 1-1 draw versus Spurs. Matt, Crystal Palace, what is your thoughts, mate?
They're a bogey team for us, aren't they? Like we don't like playing Crystal Palace. I don't think it's going to be different under Roy Hodgson against David Moyes, because they both sort of play similar. But like under previous managers, we just don't like playing against them. They're very good solidly, and they hit on the counter. Generally, we don't do that. But this year, I don't know. I think it's going to be a better contest. But I've just got memories of like that Ayew goal last year still stuck in my head. Was that Boxing Day? It was around Christmas, wasn't it? It might be just after Boxing Day.
Yeah.
When he just done that ridiculous and went past about 5 players and think for poor old Roberto in goal.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, they've got fantastic. It's weird. They're a weird team because they play very defensive, but they've got a really good set of attacking players.
It's funny, and we'll talk about Palace in a minute, but I mean, when you look at their full squad, and we were talking about this beforehand, with the guests we've got coming on, and when you look at the Palace starting lineup and some of the players they've brought in, I mean, there's players in there, in my opinion, I would love to have in our squad. Not going to lie to you, and I think it's probably vice versa. There's probably a similarity between the two teams. Anyway, Matt, as we do week in and week out, we bring on an opposition fan. So before we do, it's time to talk Palace. And as you can see, we've got Dia from Back of the Nest. How you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, we've got it's been an interesting season, hasn't it, really, for everyone, as we were talking beforehand. How's Palace's season, and how do you define it so far?
Well, look, Palace has been up and down. I mean, we started the season off well, managed to pick up points against Southampton and United, Man United, who, you know, maybe the Man United game is not as significant looking at how they've done so far this season. But we've had some blips as well, even recently against Burnley and Newcastle. And we've been going into them games thinking that we should be getting the 3 points after how we played against, for example, against Leeds, scoring 4 goals. But we go into certain games after such a good performance and we're like, what is this Palace side? I mean, we just scored 4 goals then, but now we can't even have a shot on target. So with Palace, you never know what to really expect. You can have a Palace side who has, you know, brilliant going forward, can attack, can create chances. Then the other week you'll have a Palace side who, you know, what is this? I don't know. I don't recognize these players in this system. So it's pretty much up and down. But right now, when I'm looking at a table, we're pretty much confident on where we are. And it sounds a bit weird because, as I said, it hasn't been consistently good week in, week out.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we were talking beforehand and we were kind of discussing there are definitely similarities in terms of maybe the players we can attract to the club. We sometimes go after the similar players. You know, we'll talk about Eberici, Etsy, etc. Batshuayi, you know, all those kind of players that West Ham have had an interest in. But talk to me about Roy Hodgson. You know, at one point throughout this pandemic, there was a rumour that he would have had to have actually isolated away from the club, but he's not. But I mean, he's still there. He's still doing a job. I mean, how do you fans rate him?
Oh, Roy Hodgson. That, you know, when talking about Roy Hodgson, is a bit of like some weeks you love the guy, some weeks you're like, come on, Roy, just change it about. I mean, okay, let's just go back to what happened during the whole coronavirus pandemic. We lost 7 games in a row, 8 games without a win, and I personally felt that he should have been sacked there. And then he goes into this season, and as I said, some good results. Then we've had a blip. So my expectations has changed under Roy Hodgson. You know, it's as crazy as it might sound. I just expect this Palace squad to stay up 17th because, you know, majority of the time that Roy's been at the club, he hasn't made the changes when it's necessary. He likes he's got his favourites at the club, and he doesn't like changing about too much. And that has cost us at certain games because you can look back at Palace's fixtures and you can look at how we played and you can figure out how we're going to play against you because we don't really change it about. When things don't work, we don't have a plan B. So it gets annoying. But then again, thinking about business in a business sense of ways, it does make sense to keep him at the club. But personally, at the end of the season, unless something drastic happens, and you know, against Tottenham last game, we actually played good. And first time in a very long time, we had the balance of attack versus defense. I want him gone at the end of the season. But hopefully he'll go in a good note because he has been, you know, he's a class manager in terms of respect and have huge respect for him. But on the pitch, with the players that we got, sometimes he doesn't get the best out of them. But for now, I can't complain because we just came off a good game against Tottenham, and we also had a good game recently against Leeds as well.
Matt, what's your kind of?
It's funny because when I hear that, my mind automatically went to Big Sam. Like that's almost how his tenure at West Ham ended. People were like, you know, you knew what you was going to get. It was never going to be massively exciting. It'd be very much, you know, you'd be guaranteed like 17th, you'd be guaranteed to stay up, but you'd want more.
Should I quickly tell you something that's going to surprise you a lot? The best manager since we got promoted is Big Sam for Palace. He got the best out of everyone. Honestly, I personally couldn't believe it as well. Because you see, I've seen West Ham fans, you know, when he was there as a manager, maybe it's time to move on regarding Big Sam. But Big Sam, if he stayed on, I honestly would have loved it. And he didn't decide to retire at the end of the season, which was just absolutely rubbish because he decided to go and manage Everton after. But he just got the best out of Benteke. Benteke scored 17 goals under him, which he hasn't done ever since he's left. Got the best out of Wilfried Zaha. I mean, just overall as a squad, we managed to go and beat Arsenal 3-1. It was the most exciting football I've seen at Palace in a long time. Now, I don't know if that's because we haven't had great managers in the past since we got promoted, or it's just that Big Sam, for some reason, just managed to get the best out of it. But I would love Big Sam at Palace right now, honestly.
Yeah. Matt, what do you say to that? Because the fan base, as you said, they are like we were all over the shop when it comes to Big Fat Sam.
West Ham. Like we can remember some great games at West Ham we had under Big Sam. Like, you know, there was that. Was it 3-0 win away at Tottenham when he played Ravel Morrison as a false number 9 because we didn't have any centre forwards. But then it was the end of it where he started dying off, and at the moment it looks the same. Like, I know quite a lot of Palace fans on Twitter, and they all say the same thing. You know, he never makes changes, Hodgson. He's got all the attacking players, and yet he always seems to pick 3 hold midfielders for his midfield. You know, some games they've got like 5 different centre-backs on the pitch, and they're wondering what they're doing. But you look at the attacking wires, and you think he's got so many options. They're a weird team because I think they should be higher than they are, Palace. Like, I think they should be a team that's like pushing up for 10th and higher because you've got the solid defensive shape that a lot of teams can't do in the Premier League. A lot of teams can't defend.
But that's funny you say that though, and this brings me on to this point about Palace because you've now failed to keep a clean sheet since the opening weekend of the season. Yeah. Talk to me about that and let give us the inside knowledge, mate.
So the inside knowledge for this would be that when you're looking at Palace last season to this season, Roy Hodgson has made one change, and this is now his new plan A, which you wouldn't change about, is that from a 4-3-3, where we had 3 defensive midfielders last season, now we play a 4-4-2 with 2 midfielders. And I feel like at times last season, there were enough midfielders to go and support the defense, which we're not seeing this season because we've only got 2 centrally. So I think tactically, Roy tried to change it about because last season, as you guys probably know, Wilfried Zaha struggled. He struggled to score goals and get assists because he was playing out wide and he was asked to go and defend a lot. But this season, now that he's actually changed your 4-4-2 and put Zaha up front, you're looking at his goals and assists. He is scoring. So it just shows that if you put the right players at the right system, then you will succeed. But the cost of that is that we're not keeping as many clean sheets. And we've had some injuries, I'll admit that. But I think it's a formation. And you know what? I'll settle for it right now because I'm seeing the best out of Wilfried Zaha. We've got Eze as well in the team. So as long as them players are flourishing in this system, then, you know, I don't mind conceding goals, because last season I didn't celebrate as much because we didn't score as many. So, you know,
well, I mean, so far, I think you've got 18 goals. You've conceded 17 for the season, and like you said, Zaha is at the top of the scoring charts with 7 goals so far. But recently, as of late, Roy Hodgson's been fancying a bit of Benteke, hasn't he? And is he showing a bit of form again? I mean, we all know what he's capable of doing from his history.
Yeah, his history, it goes back to, as I said, Big Sam. That's when we saw the best out of Christian Benteke at Crystal Palace. He managed to make sure the players put crosses into the box and score headed goals. But Christian Benteke at Palace, as crazy as it might sound, is doing a good job. And even though he's a striker, he's not expected to score goals. Now you're thinking, what is this guy on about? But he brings others into the game. You know, when teams are sitting back, when we have no passing options, we can hoof it up to Christian Benteke. He brings Zaha, Eze, the likes of them on, you know, into the game, and they can dribble with the ball. So Benteke, it seemed like he's got his confidence back. He scored a good goal against West Brom, scored 2 goals, which was surprising because I can't remember the last time Christian Benteke scored 2 goals for Palace. And I think that he matched his goals tally for last season in just that West Brom game, 2 goals. So it seemed like he's getting his confidence back. But I wouldn't say that he's our main threat going forward. It's still Zaha. But, you know, over the last couple of games, it seemed like he's more willing to take a shot. So you never know. If Christian Benteke scores against West Ham, I'll be happy. And he has to, you know, end up scoring goals because he's in the final year of his contract. So it is very important for him. And finally, he is showing up.
You can't help but think, though, Matt, especially when you talk about players like Benteke who haven't been scoring as regular as what I suppose the Palace fans wanted. He's recently banged down a couple of goals, a brace. And then, again, we say it week in and week out, don't we, Matt? A player who's not been maybe performing to what we fans know he's capable of, up steps West Ham. And we can bring in the Benteke story. We can bring in Batshuayi. You know, the Batshuayi situation with West Ham goes quite deep, actually. You know, we've had interest in him in the past when we were moving from Upton Park. Am I right in saying, did we not pay the fee, Matt? I'm trying to remember exactly, or did we not agree the fee for him?
We basically signed him, hadn't we? And then Chelsea came in, like, forget the 11th hour. It was like the 11th hour and the 59th minute.
Yeah, and then we tried to go back in.
We spent 3 months or something. Like Typical Sullivan, spent like 6 weeks negotiating over the fact of about 10 grand a week.
Yeah.
And he was finally going to sign a contract, and then Chelsea were like, "Oh, we'll give you double the wages," and he was gone.
But he's not been playing a lot, though, has he? At Palace, no. And what is that? Is that because Hodgson's found a new system that just doesn't involve a player like him?
Yeah, I think it's just, as I said, Zaha is up front now, so it's who you put next to Zaha. We've tried it all out, and then the one time that we tried the Zaha Benteke combination, which was against West Brom, it just worked perfectly. So Roy Hodgson had just decided that even if Christian Benteke is not our main threat in front of goal, he still helps others into the game, and he has looked good as well. So it's just a case that Christian Benteke just fits the system more than Michy Batshuayi. But it's good in a way because we need competition out there. And if Benteke doesn't perform, and this puts pressure onto him that Batshuayi is on the bench, then we can bring in Michy Batshuayi. So I like it. I do like it.
There's one player I do want to talk about, and West Ham have actually, you know, I genuinely hold him really close to my heart because I thought, you know, when he was at the club, he did give us a lot, and then just at the tail end of his career, it kind of started to die out a little bit. I think all West Ham fans know who we're talking about. I think you know who we're talking about, and it's Czech Kouyaté. He stepped back into is he playing defensive for you just now? And tell me about him, discuss him. Yeah,
I don't know. I think he played at centre back couple games for you guys as well. I can't remember. It's been a while, of course, since he joined us. But this season, as I said, we had a couple of injuries, so he just had to fit in at centre back, and he's been one of our best players over there, and he just settled in perfectly. He's been, as I said, star player, and he just knows what to do. He's got the IQ just to be a defensive player. He knows when to make the passes. He knows when to go and intercept the ball, when to stay back, and he just fit in perfectly. So now we've got a case where we've got Mamadou Sakho at the club, and people would expect him to start, but even though he's got injury, when he is fit, I'll still take Kouyaté over him because he's more reliable option and he's been fit there. So people that don't watch Palace more often, you know, week in, week out will say, come on, you have to have Sakho ahead of Kouyaté. But Kouyaté, one of our best defenders so far this season.
And the thing is, though, he's top of your charts just now, pretty much for quite a lot of things. He's on top of the charts for passing, aerial battles won, clearances. He's up there for interceptions. You know, he's everywhere. And Matt, I mean, talking about Kouyaté, we do know what he can do because we had the best of Kouyaté, and we know we can kind of go. You know, he gave us. I don't know how many seasons he was at the club, but he gave us majority of his time at the club. He was top notch. He was one of our best players.
Yeah, I think it was only like the final year, wasn't it? And it was almost like I think the final year. I think he must have done 5-6 years, ish.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of it, he looked like he needed to refresh. He looked like he needed a new challenge. Like he looked like he'd had enough at West Ham. I remember there was the one game that still lives in my head. I think it was we played away at Everton, and Rooney scored a hat trick. And one of the goals, Rooney actually like out sprinted him from the halfway line to score. Yeah. And that day I knew like, oh, he's not going to play. He's not staying at West Ham. But he moved to Palace and he looks like he's got back to his old self again. Like he looks like I don't know, maybe he wasn't enjoying his football. I'm not sure. But we know on his day what he can bring to a team, don't we? We know the pace, the power, you know, the defensive cover he gives.
I think that is the power as well. What were you going to say, mate?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not only Kouyaté that you guys gave to us. James Tompkins, before his injury as well. And we got these players for basically nothing. And both of them have been brilliant business for Palace. I mean, Tompkins, before he was injured, he was a very, very solid defender. And Palace fans were just looking at it and saying, how on earth did we get this guy for this cheap? If you got another player, you could give it. Yeah, if you got another player, then let us know.
When it comes to James Tompkins, you know that one also sits quite deep in the veins, and everyone, you know, it just hurts when you mention him playing away from the club because you know his boyhood club's West Ham, and he kind of left under a bit of a cloud, and it wasn't really his fault. It was just, I mean, Matt, how could we be doing with a James Tompkins right now, mate?
He wanted the playing time, didn't he? And he
did.
The problem was at the time he was like. I think he was like 5th or 6th choice centre back. I
don't know if he was that far down. No, he was definitely.
We had. Don't forget, we had the actual in his prime, Winston Reid. We had O'Connor. Yeah. We had Collins. We had 2 kids coming through at the time.
He would have been there though. He would have been where Collins
was. And Reece Oxford.
But the thing is though, when it comes to
the 2 kids fell away, didn't they? Like Bilic had basically said, "We're going to play these kids. I want them to do well." Reece Burks, is he still at Hull playing in League One or did he go back to the Championship?
No, I think he was in Hull,
Reece Oxford's not even on the bench at a team in the bottom half of the Bundesliga.
But when you're talking about...
should have kept Tompkins.
When you're talking about Tompkins though, mate, we've, you know, West Ham through the last couple of years have kind of struggled in the centre-half position. You know, things have changed this season because we've brought in the really good backroom staff and we're really working on the errors that we've got in that defence, and it seems to be working, although we are still light in that area. And every year, every transfer window, we talk about a centre-half. And every time we talk about a centre-half, we always bring up, we had one who would have came in and been there and done the job that we needed to do, and it was James Tompkins. So yeah, mate, I get it. He's top notch. When it comes to West Ham, though, you've obviously been watching the Premier League. What's your thoughts on how West Ham are performing, and also how do you think Palace will go into the game against West Ham tomorrow night?
West Ham has surprised me, I'll be honest with you guys. I know people are going to hate me for this, but looking at the first 7 games, I thought no chance. Like, they're going to be in deep trouble after the first 7 games, considering how you went into the season with a lot of negativity due to stuff happening off the field with the owners, with, you know, even Diane Garner, he went to West Brom. So it seemed like the worst possible fixtures for you guys at that current moment. But just looking at it, you're seeing 6th in the Premier League, and it seemed like it baffles me because I'm like, how did they do this? And you look at the manager, David Moyes. He's just, I guess, similar to Roy Hodgson. These type of managers, they might not play the most exciting football, but they will get you results. And I've been hugely surprised. And talking about going into this game, how Palace will approach it, as I said, we've only got one plan, and that's plan A. So I reckon that we'll sit back and try hit you guys on a counter-attack. And, you know, recently we've been good at that. When we do have Wilfried Zaha fit and playing, and Eze as well, and Christian Benteke. So I'm a bit more optimistic, but understand that you guys are looking at this game. You know, you have to win this. Not have to win it, but you should be winning this. And we're looking at it like we should potentially be winning this type of games because we got Liverpool next. So I think it'll be an exciting game, but not a high scoring one. But I think there'll be chances on both ends. It really depends on if Palace find the balance, because we haven't done that for the majority of the season. Last game against Tottenham, we did it. Attack and defense. We managed to defend well and attack well. So if we can bring that to the next game, then it should be good.
It's funny you say that though, like when you say it might not be a high scoring game, I still can't, every week in and week out, and Matt will back me up on this, I predict, as of late it's been a little bit lower in the scores, but normally as a West Ham fan, we're fully expected to see goals because we can concede, although like I said, we've tightened up our defence, and that's good, especially coming up against the attack threat that Palace have, although they still, West Ham have got a few injuries that may affect who's going to start. And if that does affect who's going to start, and if we have a particular player like Creswell having to sit back in a back four rather than playing the wing back position, then you're definitely going to get the option to get past Creswell down that side, because he's not got the legs anymore and the ball can just go over the top and you can creep in, and you've got guys with pace, Eze, Zaha, and other players to name it. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Matt, what you thinking?
Well, it's interesting you say about the counter-attack, because that's almost what we've based our game off of this year, was the counter-attack. That's why we've been more solid. But they're the games that we've struggled. So when we've played teams that do the same thing, we haven't really been able to do it. I mean, you go to like the Sheffield United game, we only got to score one goal. The Villa game, we were lucky to win. We've struggled to break the teams down. At Fulham, the teams that sit back and try and do exactly what we do, we seem to struggle. So it depends how attacking both teams go. You could be seeing, like you said, a big scoring game, or you could see like a really boring 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Well,
let's have a look at the Palace lineup versus Spurs, and tell me, mate, what do you see, if at all, any changes?
The changes, we don't like changing about even when we lose. So a draw against Tottenham was a good result, and the change, I don't see any changes really happening, and I don't think there should be major changes. But the one change that I would like to see, which I doubt Roy would do, is take off James MacArthur for Jairo Riedewald, who's more technically gifted. But apart from that, that lineup can, that's what I mean. Teams already know how we're going to set up because we don't like changing it a lot. But still, if I had to make one change, it would be MacArthur for Jairo Riedewald. And as I said, 4-4-2, sitting back and on the counter-attack, that's where we're most effective.
But you can't help it when I look at that side. Again, I'm not trying to blow your trumpet here as a Palace fan, but Matt, there's players there that because one of the questions I ask is, who is the player you fear the most from the opposition, and who should we fear the most? But you've got Zaha, you've got Benteke. We know what he's capable of if he's playing on form and he's confident. Eberechi Eze. I mean, West Ham were desperate to sign him, and it fell through, or Palace beat us to the signature. How's he been performing, mate?
Eze, honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to. That's it. Eze for the next 5 to 7 years. That's how forward I'm looking at. And Palace should sign him to a long-term contract, because this guy is an absolute baller. I mean, he came in, he didn't have much time to settle with all this COVID stuff that's going on, and some players not playing and others are. But he's just, what he's done at QPR and the Championship, he's brought that to the Premier League. It gives us another option. In the previous game, West Ham can go and send 2 and 3 players onto Wilfried Zaha, and then you're thinking, what we're going to do here? But Eze is that second option, and at times the first option ahead of Zaha. He can get the ball, he can dribble with it, and it gives us another option. So he's been absolutely brilliant since coming in, and the fact that he's still so young and got so much potential that's what we're looking forward to. Let's hope he lives up to the hype, which he has been so far. And I honestly don't know the ceiling for him, because he's so technically gifted and so confident on the ball that you love to see them type of players playing at your club week in, week out, because it's just exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I kept my eye on him for a couple of seasons at QPR, and I was massively excited about the prospect that he was going to do. Before he was even linked to West Ham, I was like, please, West Ham, go in and get this young lad, because I thought he has got talent, but it just piles of talent, lots and lots and lots of talent. And you can see why Palace went for him, because you can see how he would fit into your system with players like Zaha, who probably need to react off of players like him. And also I could see why West Ham went for him. Obviously we didn't get him over the line, and I'm not going to lie to you, mate, I was gutted, because I think West Ham fans were, at the time, it was either going to be Eze or Ben Rama if there was a choice. We did have a young player, Diangana, who's obviously left, but if there was a choice to bring in one of the two, for me it was always going to be Etsy. Now the thing is, you've got two quality players who performed at the highest level at the Championship last year, and so far are now performing and proving their worth in the Premier League this year. Matt, I mean, what was your thoughts on Etsy?
Oh, you said he's. I was going to sit and say, as long as you keep Zaha quiet, you should be all right, but you can't anymore. Palace were rather one-dimensional when they just had him, but with Etsy now, we all watched him Championship last year. He's like, for a Championship player, he was a complete package. He had the pace, the skill, the ability to take people on, he scrap in the box, outside the box, free kicks. That's what attracted to us, and fair play to Palace, they managed to get him over the line, and he's going to be a great. If they keep hold of him for 6-7 years, he'd be a phenomenal player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dyer, what's your thoughts then, before we kind of go into your predictions for the game? Who is the man you fear the most from West Ham, and who is the man that West Ham should fear the most from Palace?
So in terms of who I fear the most from West Ham, of course, you got Declan Rice, who can boss in midfield, and I'm worried about that. But a player that I know that I don't think he started every game for you guys, but Ben Rama, because as you said, we were linked with him as well, and I would have loved him at Palace. But of course, there's now going to be this debate: who's going to be the better player? And I'm already seeing it in lead up to this game, Ben Rama or Eze. But I'm fearing that Ben Rama, I'm pretty sure he knew the rumors as well between Palace and him. Of course, he knew that, but Palace and Eze and all of that stuff. So if he is going to play, he's going to have a point to prove, just like Eze. So I'm looking forward to how Ben Rama is going to perform if he does start. And that's one of the players that I'm watching out for. And in terms of Palace, if we're not talking about Zaha and Eze, Christian Benteke as well, I think one underrated player, which is going to sound very weird, is that Nathaniel Klein at right back. He's been, because other players are so good going forward, he just, in recent games, he's been undershadowed at times by Palace fans. We're not really appreciating what he's doing. He's got an assist against West Brom, but down the right-hand side, he's going to be overlapping Jeffrey Schlupp. He's going to be back defending as well, and it seemed like he's returned to the form that we knew when he first came to Palace as a youngster and before he got injured around at Liverpool. So Nathaniel Klein is the one player that I'll say watch out for at right back, see how he plays, because he can be, he can stop the attack, and also he can be a trouble going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because if we see the best of him, we know what he's capable of from seeing him at his previous clubs. Then, well, let's get your interesting predictions for the game tomorrow night, mate. Go for it.
As I said, I don't know. I'm going to say 2-1. But I feel like you guys can score, and I expect you guys to think similar to score the 2-1, I guess, or some a 2-0 to you guys. But I feel like we will concede, as you've said. But just based on what I've seen from Eze, Zaha, whenever they have played, and Benteke as well, I feel like we have got something going forward. But we do struggle against teams that do sit back. So we will see how much of an influence Christian Benteke will have on this game. Can he do what he's done in previous games when we played him? Only time will tell, but I'm going for 2-1 Palace. I'm very happy with how we played against Tottenham, and hopefully we go out there and get 3 points before we get absolutely battered by Liverpool.
Matt, have you got anything to say?
I was going to say, a guy that I really like him at Palace, but he's really either really good or really bad, is that Milivojevic. He's got a lethal set piece on him, but he either seems to play really well, or he's like absolutely shocking. I never seem to watch him. He just had like an average game. Is
he not like your penalty taker king, isn't he? He scored.
He was. But the thing with Luka is that he hasn't been the same player for a good season or two now. I mean, he had his best game in a very long time against Tottenham, which is another thing that gives me confidence. But he, as you said, he's been a penalty king and a set piece king. But something happened to him. I'm not too sure if it's just a change of style of play with the formation, or there's something else going on in his life. But he hasn't been the same type of player for us. But of course, he's going to be starting, and we'll see how he performs against you guys, because I need to see him play more consistently like he did against Tottenham in the upcoming games, because for a long time, I haven't seen the best out of him, but Roy's still thinks is the main man. So hopefully he proves me wrong and also the manager and gives us another good game.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, listen, Dear, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And there's been lots of comments coming in as well. So myself and Matt are going to go off and talk and have a big tangent about West Ham. So there's no point in you having to stay on. But you're from Back of the Nest YouTube channel. So anyone that's interested, head on over there, hit the subscribe button. We'll put a link in the description below as well. And hopefully we'll have you on for the return leg later on in the season, mate.
Yeah, best of luck. Thank you.
Good man.
Cheers,
Take
mate.
it easy. Cheers for that, mate.
Thanks.
So yeah, Matt, really cool to have another opposition fan on again. I hope all of yous that are tuning in are enjoying it. It gives us a really good insight, I think, to be honest. Matt, what are you saying? What are you laughing at? I think the thing is, it's just good to get the opposition's point of view on their own club, because we can only look in and dive in and have a look at highlights, etc., but we can't actually see what they're seeing week in and week out. So it's really interesting to hear what way that they're potentially lining up and how important a player like Benteke, who's not scoring goals, is playing to the new setup that Hodgson's found. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and make sure you leave a comment. Everyone's been asking us about the mugs, the famous mugs. So we are running out of stock. There's not a lot left. So if you want to get these mugs delivered to you before Christmas, the last date of delivery before guaranteed for Christmas, although Royal Mail is being a bit of a nightmare, is Friday. So we're going to put a link in the comments. And if you are interested, then head across to the shop and get shopping. Matt, you received yours today, although yours was a little bit delayed than normal. And
yeah, like you said, Royal Mail just been at least down around London. Royal Mail are not on top of it right now. So
yeah, absolutely,
took a
mate.
little while.
So yeah, like I said, I've put the thing in the link to the shop in the descriptions below. But I think, Matt, it's probably time to talk West Ham, mate. Our beloved West Ham, mate, who currently, well, I don't know if it's currently, depends on the results tonight, but, well, if we don't take into consideration results tonight, we're 6th in the league, mate. 6th in the league. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I said it's a weird season, isn't it? Because normally you'll get a few teams down the bottom that are clubs, which you've still got now, and you'll get 3 or 4 teams at the top that are way in front of everyone else.
Yep.
Whereas this year, like, no one's run away with it. Yeah, no one's running away. I mean, we're only 20 points. We've only got, I think, 4 points behind us is like 13th, and 4 points in front's like 3rd.
Yeah.
It's a really close season. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it really, really is, mate. It really is. Let's have a look and see what what the gaffer said in his press conference. First up, Mr. Moyes was talking about Said Benrahma. He said he did a lot of good things for us at Leeds. He's had to be patient because we've been playing well. Let's see how he goes. We still need to manage him with the amount of games coming up. He's finding his way, but we've been really pleased with him. What do you take from those comments?
I just don't think he likes giving anything away. I think everyone knows that Moyes rewards playing well.
Yep.
And if Masuaku's apparently out for the month, apparently he's out for about 4 weeks, isn't he? If he's out for that long.
No, he's going to be out, actually. We're believing that it's got actually a lot longer than that. I think the announcement or wherever this announcement came out today, we believe that he is going to be out for a minimum of 3 months, mate.
Which is what we said previous week, didn't we?
There was no way he was going to be out for 6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer really that Ben Rama's going to start because I mean he's not really done anything wrong. If anything, he's been our best player. So it's an absolute no-brainer, mate. The performances always lead to good results. We've had some very good performances, some not so good. But when they're not so good, we need to be resolute to get results. You have to say we're looking like we can score goals, and we've done that without our talisman Antonio. It's important to get him back, but we need to keep building something with the performances too. What do you take from that comment in particular? You know, because there's a lot of chat always about our talisman Antonio. Does that have effect on Haller?
I don't want to be mean, but I reckon Moyes is starting to lose patience with him.
Yeah.
That he made some sort of comments after the game the other week, the Leeds game, didn't he? About like he should have scored more goals. But basically, he said we should have won by more, and Haller had chances he didn't take them.
Yeah.
And it depends on the player because players react one of two ways. Some players you dig them out, have a go at them, and that fires them up and they play better. And some of them will just then hide away in their shell and play even worse. And I don't know which. We're not on the training ground. We're not there every day. We don't know what sort of player Haller is. You know, is that going to fire him up, or is that just going to like finish him off and be like, well, he's got a week until was it a week, 2 weeks to Antonio's back? So for him, it's now or never. Like, it really is.
I don't know, mate. We'll come on to Haller in a minute. Let's have a look at the last couple of comments that Moyes made at his press conference. The whole country is in the same situation. We need to get rid of this pandemic. We started to see some green shoots of recovery with supporters coming back, but hopefully it won't be too long until we can have them back in again. And that's him talking about the fact that London entered Tier 3 restrictions as of tonight at midnight, which means no fans are allowed to go to the game tomorrow night. You know, I've seen some comments all over social media and fans were saying that maybe we'll win the game at the London Stadium because the fans aren't there, because the last time we did have them back, we were destroyed in the second half against Manchester United. Do you think that will have an impact, though? Do you think not having fans? I think it will have an impact on the players, to be honest.
You know what? In the lockdown period, you know, the Project Restart, all the pundits were talking about it, and they were all sitting on the fence. Some were saying yes, some were saying no. And I think it's been like almost comprehensively proven now that it is having an impact.
Yeah. Because
if you look at the table, like I said, you look at the table, no one's run away with it. And you look at a team like Sheffield United, who I know the pundits' cliche last year was like, oh, you know, that tight enclosed ground at Bramble Lane, the fans on top of you, the noise pushes them over, and you were thinking, it's just cliches that they like to say on TV to make it sound better. Last year they were winning all their games by one goal, and now they're losing all their games by one goal, and they've had the worst start in Premier League history. So it does make a difference.
Yeah,
the pressure's off.
Yeah, of course, mate. Of course. Let's have a look at the last comment. Then there's a couple of knocks which we need to consider, which is normal for December. A lot of clubs will have players missing games, but in the main, hopefully, we're going to be okay. But what we did discuss and have been discussing, Matt, for several weeks is that we do have this crazy fixture, and there's going to be a lot of fixtures coming round. So we're going to have to see a bit of squad rotation. So we're probably going to start to see players come into the side that we didn't expect to see. If this was back in February, March, or back now in the last couple of weeks, it may be different. We may be seeing the setup, but I think that's Moyes kind of hinting at the fact that he's going to have to use the squad a bit more because he can't afford to.
Well, let's be fair. I mean, I don't know the stat, but we haven't used a lot of players this year, have we?
No,
we haven't. He's basically had his first 11, and then he's got 3 guys that come off the bench.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much been the 3 same subs.
Yeah.
Fornals and Bowen come off 4-2 wingers, and then if Antonio was on, Haller would come on, or then he'd bring on someone to shore up the defensive midfield.
Yeah.
So we haven't used a lot of subs, but he's going to have to start rotating the squad. Like we saw back at the start of the season, we had the 2 teams going, didn't we? We had the attacking team that played in the Carabao Cup, and we had the defensive team that was playing in the league.
Yeah.
So hopefully some of the players got some match fitness out in games, even though it was couple of months back now, because he's going to have to find a way to balance the team out with bringing players in but not overly changing the squad to the point where it disrupts it.
Yeah.
There's players there to change the squad, but this isn't FIFA, it's not Football Manager. You can't just swap 7 players out of the team and expect it to play the same way.
Yeah. I know it's funny, there's so many comments in there, and we'll come on to the comments in a minute. I think we've got Stell in there telling everyone he's the ITK and knows everything that's going on at West Ham Football Club. But if Stell watched our preview show, he would have seen that we broke the news that Masuaku was going to be out for longer than 6 weeks.
We said, I think I said it's going to be 3 to 6 months, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah. So,
and that was literally no ITK. That was off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's a knee injury. He's not going to be back in a month.
And he's having an operation and he's put his picture online. Putting two and two together. But listen, just wait for the abuse coming in. As it started, there you go. Matt, let's talk about one player. The player that's always seems to be in the tip of the tongues of every single West Ham fan right now, especially at the fact that our talisman Antonio is missing, and it's Sebastian Haller. Talk to me, mate. Is it harsh criticism from fans, or is he performing well enough?
He is like Marmite, isn't he? That's the easiest way to describe him now to the West Ham fans. Because there's fans that like him, there's fans that don't. You know, and it depends on which side of the wall you sit. Because the game against Leeds, you've got two opinions. Either he was absolutely awful and he missed a handful of sitters, or he was really unlucky because he had 3 shots that got last-ditch deflections and he had that really good overhead kick that was saved.
Yeah.
You got to feel at some point that it's going to turn because the ability's there. You know the ability's there, but at the same time, you can't not knock him when, like, that first 45 minutes, he was absolutely shocking. Like, I think
funny thing though is
he gave the ball away 12 times in the first half. Like, the ball went into his feet and he had the touch of like I wouldn't even call it touch for a Sunday League player, because I don't think a Sunday League player would have a touch where the ball went 6 foot away from him.
But do you know what though? And something I'm going to say is like I feel like I'm going to. I mean, I'm not saying you're digging him out completely because you're just looking at the stats.
I like him.
Yeah, you're looking at the stats of the game in particular. But the thing is, I can't really see past how we don't play Haller, because we've now given him some time in the game, and we've saw more than 50% of good performances from the time he's been playing recently since Antonio. So collectively as a unit, he's performed, in my opinion, 50% of that time has been good and worthy of being in the side and helping the team. And 50% of it has been borderline shocking. But then, you know, there's a mixture of things you can take from this. You can take the fact that he's not been picked. There's been times where he should have been picked and then Antonio was picked, and that can have a knock-on effect, and that can put a player a game or two back. Now, people can sit there each week and say, but he's a professional and he needs to perform to the highest level. But then you can talk about players like Benteke, and you can say, well, they're not scoring goals and he's not been in the side. And
before the West Brom game, I think Benteke scored 3 goals in 52 games.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. And okay,
but
I don't know what was his transfer fee?
Oh, they paid big money for him, didn't they?
They paid big money for him.
Yeah. Well, so it wasn't like Haller, but at the time it was 20 plus million, which is big money.
Yeah. So for fans to, in my opinion, though, I've seen today again on social media, people were talking about, is it time to unleash Benrahma up front? But no, it's not. It's absolutely not the time to unleash him. And we don't need to unleash Benrahma up front, because Benrahma's playing well in his position. So you keep Benrahma in his position to keep playing well, to try and keep feeding and trying to feed Haller, because Haller, we know that Haller likes to play with players who are creative and can create opportunities. So if we're talking about Antonio's going to be out to the new year, because I don't really see how Antonio's going to come back this side of the year, to be honest, mate. There's 2 weeks to go.
They keep saying Chelsea, but
I don't know how that's going to happen, mate. It could be a bit of games.
It's Monday next week.
Yeah, it's really.
I'd at least give him Boxing Day. Like, that's another week. It's the Sunday, isn't it? So I'd at least give him to the Brighton game.
Yeah, and I think he's there or thereabouts. But West Ham have to manage this injury, so. You've got to look at it like you can literally put 2 and 2 together and see how the club are run. It's like, you know, you do get people who are saying, oh, I know what's going on, etc. And still, you know, I know Stel's in the chat there going like, I'll tell you how it's going, etc. But still, you need to remember, I passed you the information via the guy who gives you the information. I gave you that guy. Still, Matt, what am I doing right now?
Well, I gave him stuff for the week. You know, his show.
You did, mate. You did.
Didn't even give me any credit, did he? He's just like, yeah.
No, I didn't. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is we have to. You can put 2 and 2 together, and you can think. Give you massive whack. He goes, I'm sorry, he's so distracting. Maybe should we put him on the naughty step? Should we chuck him out of the chat for 5 minutes? No, I'm only joking.
Time him out and come on the naughty step.
Time him out. But I think the point I'm trying to make when it comes to Haller is that he needs to keep being given the time, because we need the consistency. Now, we played against Leeds and people are saying, should we line up and start with the same lineup? Now, in the first half, there was a couple of concerns. We were talking about it, Matt, about Creswell out of position. The ball was going over the top and we were getting caught out a couple of times. And that was then leaving bigger gaps between, say, Augie, Creswell, and then the midfield. And then we slipped into a little bit of a trap where we noticed that the gap was opening up top between Haller and the midfield. The but was, we turned up, we got a result, and we walked away with 3 points.
The problem is, right, and I'll put my hands up for this, we sit here with rose-tinted glasses. We sit here with West Ham glasses on, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think we had a very good game against Leeds. I thought we played really well for the last 10 minutes after we scored. Once we went 2-1 up, we battered them. And we had enough chance in the last 10 minutes to score 3 or 4 more goals. But every single media outlet, every single pundit afterwards was like West Ham dominated Leeds for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, did we? It didn't feel like it to me, but apparently we did. So
yeah.
we didn't play that badly, apparently.
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to the game tomorrow night, and we look at the West Ham lineup, would you make any changes?
I still don't like the 4 at the back.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a coincidence we offered more going forward and we looked more solid in those last 10 minutes when Ben Johnson came on.
Yeah.
And we went to the 5 at the back.
And there is,
for me,
but there is a question for that, though, isn't there?
I would drop Fornals for Ben Johnson.
Really?
Because I get it. I actually like Fornals. But if you're looking to drop a player to accommodate going back to the back 5 at the back, you've only got 3 options. Bowen, Benrahma or Fornals.
Yeah.
For me, I'd rather start Bowen and Benrahma. Look, let's not forget, Bowen never finishes a game. I know Stell gave us that crazy stat the other week. He's played 28 games, he's been subbed like 26 of them. He's only like 2 or 3 times he's completed 90 minutes.
That's Bowen.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'd leave Fornals on the bench, and then at the hour mark, when Moyes is going to make that sub and bring Bowen off, well, then you've got Fornals who can run around for half an hour and give you those legs.
Yeah.
But you've got to pick one of them 3. Well, if you're going to bring Johnson in, which, by the way, he won't change his team, it'll be the same team. But if it was me, that's 1 in 3, because you can't drop Rice or Soucek.
Yeah.
And you can't drop Haller, so automatically it's them 3. Benrahma was the best player last week, so you can't drop him. So then you've got straight shoot between Bowen and Fornals.
But the problem is then you've got, if you're even considering dropping Fornals, you're taking the legs. I mean, could you fault Fornals' performance against Leeds?
No.
How can you drop him? Like, I get it.
Because
I know what people are saying.
It's those 3. It's those 3. As I said, he won't, and Fornals doesn't deserve to be dropped. It was more just a case of, if you're going to go back to the more tactically solid formation, which is the 5 at the back, one of them 3 would have to go. Because you can't drop one of the midfield 2, and you can't drop the centre forward. So literally, that physically leaves you 3 positions.
Yeah.
Benrahma was the best player last week, and then you got Bowen or Fornals.
Yeah.
And Moyes liked playing the inverted wingers. He liked playing guys on the wrong wing, so to speak. So they cut in on their foot. So you've got the winger cutting in, and the fullback bombs on behind him. So you've got the right foot and the left foot on either side. So, I mean, don't forget, I don't even want to see. There's probably, someone's going to have it somewhere, a compilation of every miss Fornals has had this season. Because he misses, like, a key goal-scored opportunity at least once a game. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, mate, I mean, again, there's loads of comments coming in here, and I can see comments, people talking about keeping the same lineup. But when you look at this lineup, and for some reason I was trying to get the image up there of the team we put out against Leeds, but you've got to think of the Haller, Bowen, Fornals, Benrahma, attacking lineup with Soucek and Rice. And I know there's a concern at the wing backs, etc. But Moyes is a habit of creature, so when he does make a couple of changes, he may stick with those changes for a while. I can see those changes taking place.
The only other thing he could do, is tweak the formation and keep the same players.
Yeah.
Match Palace and go to a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And then play Benrahma off at the number 10 position, play him off of Haller.
Yeah.
Then you've got that support for Haller. Haller doesn't get isolated. And Fornals can sit and run up and down the wing and give the cover for Creswell.
Well, let me just talk here quickly. There's a comment that just come in, and we will come over the comments in a minute, but Neil T's saying Fornals needs a rest, in my opinion. But the funny thing is, coincidentally, the same comment just before it is, Fornals covers a lot of ground, and
he does.
And Palace are a team that are going to stretch West Ham, and this does have that kind of if you were in the stadium, you could kind of be a bit like this, Matt, because it's got that potential to be back and forth. It's got that potential to be quite active. You've got two sides that like to break, who counter-attack. They like to try and break that line. And this is definitely going to be a game that both defences need to turn up. You've got the wall of Augie, the wall of Balbuena, you've got the wall of Kouati. And it's going to be such an interesting game. They've got big men. They've got big men that like to go forward. It's going to be a physical, fast-paced. This has got the potential to have goals in it, mate. It really does.
That comment, funny enough, is the exact same conversation I had with my dad last night. And I was sitting on the other fence, and he was like, "Why do we keep playing Fornals? He's not doing very well." And I gave that exact reason.
Yeah.
I think if you go back to like Project Restart, I don't know how many games in it was, but it's when we started to turn the form around, and Premier League or Opta or whatever put a stat, and it was like ground covered by the most players since Project Restart started. And Souček was number one, and that's when everyone was ranting and raving about Souček. But like 2 or 3 places below him for most ground covered in the Premier League was Fornals.
Yeah.
It's the reason Moyes plays him. He does go under the radar for the amount of ground he covers, because he does literally go up and down that pitch for 93 minutes. Like, he will go up and he'll do it all game, which is why he does get played.
Yeah.
It's...
No, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Listen, get your starting lineups in the comments below. And also, when you're doing that, come and let us know your predictions in the comments below. Now, Matt, we've talked a lot about Moyes, being a creature of habit. Do we genuinely think that he will change the side tomorrow?
He's given little drops and hints, hasn't he? That we're going to have to do the team at some point. But in fairness to him, he's literally, he's really clamping down on the leaks and stuff. So he's trying to cut it out. We don't know. He's going to have to try and rotate at some point, but I know he will keep going for as long as he can without rotating. He'll do it.
Yeah.
And don't forget, when we spoke about it before, we said about this week. We spoke about this week in particular, like about a month back, when we said about there will be rotation because we had 3 games in 7 days, and then lockdown come back in and all that stuff, and then they put the TV fixtures out, and for once the TV fixtures actually played into our hands. It gave us 3 days extra because it was supposed to go Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and it become Friday, Saturday, Monday. So it does give him a bit of leeway to not rotate. I mean, you don't see teams in the Championship massively rotate every week, and they play Saturday, Wednesday the entire season.
Yeah.
He won't give anything away. We know this. I mean, the safe money bet would be what the 11 that played against Leeds, because they played Friday and it's now Wednesday. They actually, Palace played Sunday, so we've actually had 2 days extra rest on Palace.
Yeah.
I said I would make one change. Flip a coin between.
But will he make it?
If you wanted a safe bet, you wanted your even odds bet, you say no. You say the same as.
And I agree with you. I don't see any changes, mate. I don't see any changes, but I'm hoping that we do see. I don't see any changes, but I think we'll see a good performance. I really do. I think that you've got 2 sides here. I mean, let's have a look at the league table. I don't think I've got Palace on this sheet. I don't think, but they are only 3 points behind West Ham. It is really tight. In all of that position, 3 points for West Ham takes us up into the top 4, depending on goal difference. But losing a game and other results going against us can push us all the way down to 10th, 11th place. So it is extremely tight down there. Before we move on to predictions, let's have a look at the history between the 2 clubs, recent history. Let's get rid of that ticker tape there. Last time out on the Boxing Day 2019, obviously we got beat 2-1. You've got to go back a little way, though, back to 2018 when we won 3-2. And you've probably seen some of the images in the video at the start, the intro video, when you actually see some of the goals that we scored, especially that Andy Carroll goal. I mean, that was unbelievable, wasn't it?
I mean, that was the last time before that we won, wasn't it? That was the 3-0 win.
That was the 3-0 one, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you've got to go back to the Dimitri Payet free kick at the last season at Upton Park. That was just, it was quite possibly one of the best free kicks I've ever physically saw, and just
that was the 2-2. Was that the 2-2?
Yes, it was. Yep. And then the Lanzini goal, which was a fantastic work rate, wasn't it, between the whole team? Payet, Lanzini. I think that was the game beforehand, which we beat them 3-1 at Palace back in 2015. So it's definitely got. And you can see that though when you look at all the fixtures potentially recently. There's goals scored, goals to be scored. So Matt, it brings us to that interesting time, mate. The interesting time, which is the predictions. Before we do the predictions, tomorrow we will be coming to you with a match day live. Join us. We'll be coming on to you a good solid hour before the game with team news. We're doing a watch along. We're having a bit of a laugh. I'm definitely going to have a beveragini tomorrow night for the game. I know I said that the last time, but I didn't. But I am going to definitely do it. Oh no, I did. I did actually. I did. Because I kept pouring my beer into the mug. That's right. So Matt, go for it. Hit me with your predictions.
I'm going to say 3-1. I was going to say 3-3, but I don't want to back a draw, so I'll say 3-1.
3-1. Good man. I'll take that right now. I'm just going to go with my usual, mate, 3-2. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game again. I do think I know our defence is doing well. It has been doing well.
You can't go for 3-2.
Oh, has he done that? Oh, I can't go that if he's done that. He's copied me. That's why he's done it. Because he always copies me with everything he does. Anyway, I'm going to go 3-2. I do think there'll be goals scored, and I think we'll concede goals. Because I think
that's why I was going to say 3-3, but I don't want to back a draw, so I'm going to say 3-1.
Yeah. Let's have a look at some of the comments, mate. There's so many. I don't even know really where to start. Lawrence Salmon is saying 1-0 West Ham. So checks to score. I mean, he's just
3 and 4. He's in form at the moment.
He's lighting up the league, mate, isn't he, really? Lee Vassallo, 3-1 West Ham, Hilaire, Oggy and Bowen. 2-2 on the fence for this one from Fremar. 2-1 win from Neil T. Would love Haller and Benrahma to score, but it'll probably be Oggy and Socek. Ratchford, same lineup, 2-1 West Ham, Hilaire and Benrahma to score. Billy Clark, West Ham win 4-1, 100%. That would be good, mate. That would be lovely, actually. A nice 4-goal. The 3-1 away is the best performance out of those. Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Payet scored that game as well, didn't he? Is that when he put the keeper down and chipped it over him?
Yeah, Payet, Lanzini, and don't know who was the third goal.
I'll say, was it Zarate?
Yeah, it was Zarate. You got the first one. It was, yeah. Still copying me with a 3-2 prediction. Has the missus given you the night off, Anton? Match day live, I'll have a non-alcoholic beverage. Haha, that's Jake. Go and check out Jake's channel, West Ham Unofficial. Mishley is saying West Ham 1-0, Hilaire to score. Crazy. Where's that comment gone? It just keeps jumping, doesn't it? Kent is saying 2-1 Hilaire. Let's hope that Benrahma and Hilaire tears it up and Hilaire gets a hat-trick. Fingers crossed, mate.
I'll take that.
Mark Alexander, I've got a 3-2 bet. Hilaire and Benrahma, who gets the other. I'm easy. We go for 7th if it stays 1-1. Is that the game currently that's on?
Possibly. I'm actually
what's
sure.
This one? 2-1, 90 minutes score with VAR going our way for once.
Yeah. West Brom, Man City. Oh, Man City scored an own goal in the 9th minute. Oh, that's the 43rd minute. Yeah, it's 1-1.
1-1. See if we can quickly nip up to the top and see if we can get this done within an hour, mate. I'm trying. I don't know how we can do this show in less than an hour. I really don't know how to do it. I'm trying my best. I think we are trying our best to go through it because we're not even. It's mad.
But we got to get the opposition fan in, and that's we didn't have that. It would be easy down to down every week, but everyone wants to see it. So
yeah, exactly. West Ham Unofficial. I agree, Anton, and I don't blame you, Jake. I don't know what you're agreeing with me on. It's probably something that I disagreed with Stell on, so you're agreeing with me on that. So. What is he talking about? Stell, it won't be Chelsea, Matt. I mean, Stell's talking about the club. He loves Chelsea,
lives opposite the stadium, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, mate. He does. I think he's got a secret season ticket for it. That's why he always shows up late to the games, because he goes to the early kickoffs at Chelsea and then comes to West Ham for the banter. It might not have been funny. A lot of us kept saying Anderson will turn good. He didn't, though, and the ability when did he give Haller? Someone came into the comments earlier on and said, could you imagine Anderson with the Fornals work rate? I mean, could you imagine that?
That is literally what he's missing. And I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah.
You know, he's got. If you stacked him up, I'd say maybe he's alongside Ben Rama, but his technical ability is better than Fornals. He's better than Bowen.
Yeah.
But he has the ego. That's for me. That's what it is. He's got the ego on him, and he doesn't have the work rate.
Yeah.
You could probably say the same about Marama about Haller, because he doesn't have a work rate.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is, because we had the same with Van Alvich, didn't we? And then he put the work rate in and he started scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this here? GSP out, Gonzo style Pringles. Exact same lineup, 2-0 Palace for Sheezy, mate. What are you doing? It was a Zarate kid.
He knows they are a bogey team for us, aren't they? So
yeah, of course they are, mate. What's this? Anton requires some stealth to pass the hour mark. Crazy call. If Stell took on half the workload for this channel, then I would be happily do 3 hours. But that's why he does 3 hours, because I do everything for him.
Yeah, he just gives him his sheets to read. We give him a video printer.
Basically, I write a script for him. Yeah, and I give him all the ITK news.
He's got a video printer and he just reads it out. You know, that's what he does.
It's just easy life, innit? He lives an easy life, Matt. Anyway, anything you want to add, Matt, before we head?
Top of my head, I was thinking. It was something I was going to say, but it's gone out of my head now. Just as soon as you said that, it's like, no, gone.
Listen, guys.
Oh yeah, the tier 3. So I don't know if people said anyone that was supposed to go to the game tomorrow will go to whatever the next game is. They've announced that now. They've said, because they draw on the ballot, whoever was supposed to go for the Palace game will just go to whatever the next available game is. When that is, I don't know. It's just not looking promising at the moment. Talking about full lockdowns again, and
yeah, it'll be an interesting one, to be honest. I
don't think I'm going this season at all.
Yeah,
I think anyone that's in the same boat as me done the option. Was it option 3? Was it
option 3? 30% discount.
I don't think we're going to get in this season.
No,
because that was 70% capacity, wasn't it? I don't think we're going to get there this season.
Yeah, let alone, mate. Let alone the fact that I live further afield as well. So I've done 30.
Sean was on the match day of the weekend. He called me an out of towner. I was like, he lives I think it's like 6 miles is the crow flies from where I live to the stadium.
Yeah. I know, mate. Anyway, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment after the video finishes. That'll be cool as well. Join us tomorrow for the match day live. Tomorrow is Wednesday, isn't it? We've then got the fixture coming up for the weekend.
Chelsea's Monday night.
Yeah, we need to have a look at that.
So
We've got Chelsea.
It's fixture scheduling, because Stell's going to ruin all the scheduling again.
Yeah, of course he is, because he's a diva.
Stell's like number one person on this channel, so we have to do our preview around him.
Basically. Well, actually, that's right, because we need to go and write a script for him to send it to him so we can actually do his show. Anyway, my name's been Anton. He's been Matt. This is Irons United, West Ham Irons United. And like I said, if you are interested in buying one of our mugs, and I genuinely, it sounds like a sales pitch, and it is a sales pitch, but we are really running low in stock. I actually think we've got none of the gold ones left. I think we've only potentially got one of the black and white ones. So you jump onto the website and the link in the chat and purchase it. We have sorted out international shipping. If you are living internationally, please come onto the shop, and there's an option for you to contact us, and we'll sort you out with the price of the shipping for the mug as well. So if you are living abroad and you want it, I've shipped one out to Germany earlier on in the week as well. So if you're interested, get in touch. And anyway, he's been Matt. I've been Anton. This is West Ham Irons United, and come on you Irons. Join us tomorrow night. Come on you Irons. Yes.